Oh, God. I feel awful. It's a good job I'm not a surgeon. I nearly decapitated myself shaving this morning.
Well, they say grape and grain will cause you pain.
Yes, that's the problem, Giles. I mean, when you're basically a beer man, you drink pints. Only last night it was pints of sangria.
Why did you choose a wine bar to celebrate your engagement?
I wanted to celebrate with the knees up down the Spotted Cow and then on for a curry. But Sheila chose the El Toro Tapas Bar, run by an old mate of hers called Paco, supposed to be an ex-bullfighter. I bet the only bull ring he's ever seen is in Birmingham.
Debbie's not fond of Spanish cuisine. She had a bad experience with a stuffed pepper in Andalusia. I find it quite tasty.
You tell me what's tasty about squid served up in its own ink by a waiter who looks as though he's had a tortilla stuffed down his trousers.
Well, as long as Mrs. Sabatini enjoyed herself.
I've just called my wife. It's all right, old boy. Apparently the stain will come out of the carpet. Oh. And she apologises for her outburst. I never knew Grace had such a firm grasp of Anglo-Saxon.
I had a bit of trouble at George's place last night. I slept on the sofa. I didn't go back to my bride-to-be.
Oh?
No, the fact is I got teens a bit, just a little bit, I was paralytic.
And you haven't seen Mrs. Sabatini since?
No.
No, don't put me on hold. Don't you dare put me... He's put me on hold.
Is Jonathan in yet?
Can you believe it? The new contractors have lost the laundry. If upstairs cuts the budgets anymore, they'll have me slapping sheets and pillowcases against a rock down by the river.
Joyce, have you seen Jonathan?
So you've managed to locate the docket? Well, that's...
This is for yes, this is for no.
What do you mean I've got a nice voice?
Oh, God.
Oh. Late 20s, size 10, and if I say so myself, I've got rather a gorgeous...
Hello, my name's Sheila Sabatini. I'm the one without the nice voice. Now, in my experience, you can lose your car keys, you can lose your virginity, or if you're a vertically challenged Corsican, you can lose the Battle of Waterloo. But you do not lose a laundry delivery the size of Kilimanjaro. Now, pray to whichever god you believe in that you never have cause to hear my voice again. Find that laundry!
Sheila, I was talking to that man. What do you want, anyway?
Have you seen Jonathan this morning? Have you spoken to him yet? If so, how was he?
No, and I don't know. Don't tell me you've had a row.
No.
That was a wonderful do last night, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Anyway,
And how about your friend Paco? I must say he's got all his bits in the right places.
Has he? I really hadn't noticed.
Oh,
anyway.
yes. I must say, if I were 10 years younger, which if anyone asks I am, I'd be in there before you could say... Sheila?
The look on Sabatini's face when Jonathan asked if she fancied a pint of Spanish fly.
I think my particular favourite was when he told the waiter the reason the wine was called Rioja was because that was the noise you made in the middle of the night when it came back up again.
Listen, I've said I'm sorry. It was a last-minute booking.
I left Mrs. Sabatini's engagement party early just to be with you.
How was I to know that? I'm not a mind
let's
reader.
not start listing the things you're not. Considerate, good-looking, punctual.
We need the money. I
Thank
can't
you.
turn down gigs.
It's not the fact that you're a part-time stripper. It's not the fact that you were late. Well, it is. It's you being driven up to the front door at 3 o'clock in the morning in a Porsche 911 Turbo...
I thought you didn't know anything about cars.
...with Mr. Loverman blaring out of its windows. Then, waving goodnight to those two old bags who looked like something from the Bacardi advert from hell. Good night, big boy. If that's the kind of age group you're attracted to these days, why don't you try transferring to geriatrics?
Mr. Bonaventure, if your driver was new and doesn't know the area, how did you expect him to make the delivery?
Joyce, have you got a minute?
Well, if anyone over the age of 5 knows where the Gillies is, he obviously asked someone aged 4 3/4, because the laundry still hasn't arrived.
Did Mrs. Sabatini stay with you last night?
No? Hello? Hello? Why?
Well, it's just... Maybe I shouldn't say anything. I mean, what a person does in his or her free time shouldn't be of any concern to other people. I mean, that is right, isn't it?
That would depend.
That would depend on whether you saw a person still wearing the same clothes that that person was wearing the night before at that very same person's own engagement party.
Where?
Just now in the changing room.
The sandals.
I don't even want to think about what you're thinking.
What am I thinking?
I don't want to think about it. There could be hundreds of explanations.
Thousands.
It doesn't mean that after Dr. Haslam left, she and Paco spent 2 whole hours kissing and canoodling, got a bit hot and sweaty, went back to his flat and leapt on each other. Does it?
No. I knew she was up to something.
Talk about two-timing.
It's disgusting. The night of her own engagement party.
The brazen hussy. Oh. Lovely party, Mrs. Sabatini. A great time was had by all. Well, I certainly had a great time. A night to remember. I'm sure you'll never forget it.
Sheila, you didn't.
Didn't I? Oh, good.
If you don't tell me everything that happened last night...
What makes you think that something happened?
Who do you know who goes to work in a cocktail dress and gold sandals?
Nana Muscuri.
Come off it, Sheila. Your weakness for foreign men with names ending in O is legendary. First there was Marco, then you married Ramo, and now there's this Paco. Thank God you never met the Marx brothers.
Joyce, if I decided to spend the night frolicking with the entire AC Milan football squad, including substitutes, reserves, and the little man who runs on with a sponge, that would be no concern of yours. I am still a free woman.
No, you're not. You're engaged to Jonathan.
We're not married yet.
But you do intend to marry him, don't you?
Possibly. Yes. Yes, I do plan to marry Jonathan at some point in the future.
So why are you going to tell him?
I wouldn't know how to.
Well, all the more reason for telling me. It'll be like a trial run.
Joyce, if you breathe a word of this to another living soul...
My lips are sealed.
Well, I've known Paco for a few years now. I first met him when I operated on his father for a groin complaint. Well, he made a speedy recovery, and Paco sent me a bunch of Casablanca lilies the size of Sydney Green Street. Well, after that, we went out a few times, and I dropped by his tapas bar for the occasional prawn. But last night was the first time we...
Tangoed.
Quite. Well, I looked across at Jonathan, swaying between Copeland and Hope Wynn, like 3 fugitives from a Club 1865 booze-up. When Jonathan threw up into that sombrero, well, my eyes just strayed towards Paco.
And?
We got chatting.
And?
Well, let's just say that what happened next was due to a momentary loss of self-control, coupled with an extended interlude of unbridled lust.
And you haven't seen Jonathan since?
No.
Cheryl, my conscience is clear.
Yeah, well, from now on, so's my diary.
Cheryl.
Sheila.
I think we should have a chat in private.
Yes. Yes.
Listen,
Sheila.
about last night. Listen,
See
about...
anything?
Oh, go on, then.
No, you first.
Well, I think an apology is in order.
Well, I think that's putting it mildly.
You know, Jonathan, when you make a commitment to someone, you can sometimes feel under a certain amount of pressure. You see momentous changes looming on the horizon, which can temporarily throw you off balance. And as adults, we both know that sometimes, at the 11th hour, even the most strong-willed among us can...
Screw up.
Well, I wouldn't have put it quite like that,
But surely, admitting that you've done something wrong means you're halfway towards making amends.
Oh, more than halfway.
I mean, let's face it, Sheila, the reason I love you is because you're you. If you weren't you and didn't do the things you do, you wouldn't be you, would you? And I wouldn't love you, would I? And it's the same with me. I mean, if I were to behave in a way that wasn't me, you wouldn't love me, would you?
Absolutely. I mean, in a relationship, it's extremely healthy that occasionally one should be allowed to let off a little steam.
Yes!
So...
Sheila, I'm really sorry I stayed out last night. You see, when I saw you being chatted up by Paco, it was like a red rag to a bull. Well, he'd know all about that, wouldn't he? So, I just got sozzled. I ended up round the Hellfire Club with the Oliver Reed Appreciation Society out there. And I woke up jackknifed on George's sofa.
You spent the night at George's?
Yeah, well, I know I should have called you, but it was late and I knew you'd be in bed. I hope you weren't too worried. Am I forgiven?
Well, the way you behaved was extremely childish. But after a night in the town with those two, it's surprising you didn't turn up this morning in a bonnet and romper suit. Look, I can't say that I'm not disappointed in you, but anyone can make a mistake. I suppose we all have our imperfections. Some more than others. I mean, we have to make allowances. Let's just put the entire episode behind us and call this a fresh start.
Sheila, I'm a lucky man.
And I am a lucky woman.
Have to take my hat off to you, old boy. I don't know what you said, but you obviously handled the situation brilliantly.
You think it has something to do with your gruff northern manner? Cloth caps, hobnail boots, that sort of thing?
You're right there, Neil, lad. Whole wheat Yorkshire charm, we're no taking out.
Out with the boys all night?
The night he got engaged.
Didn't even go home.
You must have concocted an absolute whopper.
No, I just told her the truth.
Good heavens.
No one tells the truth.
You don't want to start with any of that nonsense.
Certainly not. I'm thoroughly opposed to it on health grounds. Surgeons agree telling the truth can seriously damage your marriage.
Well, in my opinion, honesty is the best policy. You always get found out in the end.
Piffle found out indeed. Come to think of it, you're absolutely right.
The fact is that any successful relationship, be it husband and wife, doctor and patient, postman Pat and his black and white cat, must be based on mutual trust. You've got to treat people with respect.
Well, whatever your methods, we can obviously look forward to a new, softer Sheila Sabatini from now on.
Sorry, Mrs. Sabatini, the retractor seems to be slipping.
Well, it's a very awkward angle. And you're managing extremely well, Giles. If you could just, Excellent! Well done, Giles. Thank you again. In fact, I'd like to thank you all for your hard work and tireless striving for perfection. The importance of teamwork can never be overemphasised.
Or the importance of strong leadership, especially leadership by example.
Thank you. I am delighted with you, Giles. The lot of a registrar is not an easy one.
No.
And making the occasional mistake is just part of the learning process.
I suppose it's much the same with relationships.
Yes, would you mind pulling on that retractor just a little, Giles?
Well, I'm amazed you say that. Because personally, I'd have found it very hard to forgive.
Did anyone see the article in The Lancet about the tsetse fly? Apparently...
What I always say is if you're honest in a relationship, you can't go wrong. You take it from someone who knows.
It's a new super breed, apparently. It's grown a giant proboscis.
I agree with Dr. Haslam. I mean, you've got to be able to trust your partner. Right, Cheryl?
Talk's cheap. I think you're wonderful. It takes a very special person to forgive something that big.
Shouldn't you be directing that...
Don't you, Giles?
I must be missing something here. I mean, who is forgiving
Giles,
who?
will you kindly belt up while we're trying to have a serious discussion about the tsetse fly, an insect, I might add, which has twice your intelligence and 10 times your powers of concentration. Keep that retractor still!
So, you still haven't told him?
No.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive.
Yes, it's amazing what you can pick up in a Christmas cracker, isn't it? Oh, I can't keep up this pretense much longer.
Well, the longer you leave it, the less likely he is to forgive you. Timing is crucial in these matters.
How would you know?
I am a woman.
Yes, being a woman got me to this mess in the first place.
I don't know what you were thinking about. Or rather, I do, and I can feel myself blushing.
Well, that's what men like Paco do for me. They send the blood rushing to my head. I feel giddy, young. Oh, you see, Jonathan's like a pint of warm beer, but Paco's a full-blooded red wine. Jonathan's a woolly jumper and Paco's silk underwear. It's roast beef and Yorkshire pudding versus solomillo con paprika with wild rice.
Alex more like a weekend away to Bridlington on a super saver. But I wouldn't let some teenage crush undermine my love for him.
I thought you'd been here. How about a nice night in tonight? I'll cook. I thought roast beef and Yorkshire pudding, eh? None of that foreign muck. A nice English dish to eat with your nice English dish.
I'll tell him tonight.
Listen, there's something I'm missing here. You're never usually as angry as this. I mean, what about that time when you asked me to tape the last episode of Cheers? And I recorded 2 hours of Badger Watch instead. You gave me for that. OK, it wasn't an instant thing, but you did forgive me.
Only because I like animals. After all, I live with one.
Yeah.
I think I must be hallucinating. I've just passed Sheila Sabatini in the corridor and she said, "How are you, Neil? How's the golf?"
Come to think of it, she was extremely cordial to me earlier on. In fact, she made me a cup of coffee and gave me a chocolate digestive.
Extraordinary behaviour.
You don't think the woman's coming down with something, do you?
My God, you two spend 10 hours a day moaning about Sheila like she's Mrs. Vlad the Impaler. And then when she tries to be pleasant, all you do is criticise her. She can't win.
Well, the only time my wife's ever pleasant to me is when she's feeling guilty about something, usually when she's praying the car.
The same story where Grace is concerned. The more colossal the imminent bill from Harrods, the greater the show of affection.
Yes, what do you suppose Sheila's been up to?
Why would Sheila be up to something? My God, look at the pair of you. Your wives have either got you under the thumb or over a barrel. Why did you get married in the first place? I love Sheila, and Sheila loves me, and if she wants to be extra specially nice to you all, then that's okay by me, except that you don't deserve it. And all this talk about her being up to something is absolute twaddle. Has it ever occurred to you that you two might have the kind of relationships you deserve?
There speaks the voice of the bachelor.
So what do you think I should do then?
Lie.
But why should I lie if I haven't done anything?
Excuse me.
Sorry.
Dr. Haslam, you seem to be the man with all the answers.
What do you mean?
Well, no disrespect, but how come you managed to stay out all night and get away with it? I was a couple of hours late and Cheryl still isn't speaking to me. What's the secret?
Simple. I told the truth.
Well, I did that and it just made things worse.
To err is human, to forgive, divine. And I'm divine.
And I'm forgiven. Come on, let's get a move on.
Save the lies for next time.
Cheryl, have we got any trolley blankets?
Not unless Joyce has sorted out the laundry problems.
Oh, for Pete's sake. Why did you change your mind about Michael?
Well, let's just say, when it comes to forgiving, you're an example to us all.
Why?
Mr. Bonaventure, if you were as good at making deliveries as you are at making excuses, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Joyce.
But what kind of a discount did you have in mind? Because I'm telling you that anything less than 100% would be daylight robbery.
Signora Sabatini.
Mr. Bonaventure, I'll get back to you. Those are for me.
Signora Sabatini?
Oh, we're always being mistaken for each other.
Yeah. So are Cyril Smith and Twiggy.
Joyce, you've got to get the laundry situation
Believe these are for you. Signora Sabatini.
I told him it was a mistake, that they're actually meant for me.
Who do you think they're from?
Probably a grateful patient.
Well, why don't you open the envelope and find out?
They're from, Paco.
Really? What does it say?
It's in Spanish. Querida, nunca olvidare anoche. If only I could read Spanish.
Yeah, well, Joyce can. Could you read that out, please?
Certainly. Querida, nunca olvidaré anoche. Nunca he conocido una persona como tú. Mis brazos te esperan. Mi corazón me duele para ti. Llámame Paco.
Can you translate that now?
Dear Sheila, hope you enjoyed the party. Best wishes, Paco.
Joyce, please.
And close the door behind you. They look expensive.
Oh.
Sheila, I can't read Spanish, but I can read guilt. Is there something you want to tell me?
Look, it just happened. You weren't the only one who didn't go home last night. I wanted to tell you sooner, but there never seemed to be a convenient moment. I was going to tell you this evening.
Before, during, or after the Yorkshire pudding?
I spent last night with Paco.
So my spending the night at Hope Winds was a godsend. What was it you said to me? I'm very disappointed in you. You've been very childish. How would you describe what you were playing at last night? If this is what happens on the night of our engagement, what's it going to be like on the night of our marriage? Well, thankfully, I won't be there.
Jonathan, if we could just talk.
Oh, if only you'd said that to Paco. Do you know, I think I might have been able to forgive you if you'd been as honest with me as I was with you. But oh no, no, not you.
Jonathan.
Belt up, I'm talking! It's the deceit and the lies that I can't handle. You lied to me, Sheila. You lied to me. The man you're supposed to be in love with. The man you're supposed to marry.
I take it you no longer consider us to be engaged.
Too right!
Fine, my turn. You forced me into getting engaged. You knew how unsure I was, but you pressured me into saying yes. We're obviously unsuited, and this incident...
Incident?
Belt up! I'm talking! This incident merely highlights how incompatible we actually are. As far as I'm concerned, we both had a lucky escape.
Well, I've never felt luckier.
You're half as lucky as I feel.
You don't know the meaning of the word lucky.
I didn't until right this minute!
We've got an emergency. Small bowel infarction. The patient's in atrial fibrillation.
Right, stick your hat on and let's get to work.